Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitch Side. I am your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here with a World Cup preparation video, World Cup preparation podcast, ready to cover USA versus Belgium, USA versus Portugal. We've got a lot to cover here, Tony. But before we get into USA stuff, which I know everyone wants to listen to, we've got to touch on a couple MLS news and notes because we got a little spice going on during this little
We
time off.
do.
My light behind me just turned on.
I saw your scarf just glow.
That freaked me out. I'll have to turn that off a second. But all things considered, we've got some news to talk about here. What do you want to start with here? Because we've got like three pieces of news here. I think in my mind, I want to start with Georgie.
I was gonna say
Because
that feels kind of spicy to me.
yeah, we've got Georgie moving from Seattle to Colorado. he We've seen the flashes. We've seen the flashes. He's looked great at times. He's looked absent at times. Honestly, he hasn't really gotten a ton of opportunity, which I think has been the big thing for him. Still young, 23, super athletic, super quick. Like this is a guy who wants to go, 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 and that's how Colorado plays, man. That's how they want to play, and it feels like a natural fit in my mind. Of hey, they've got a young core. Let's add another young piece to this. He's playing the way that we want to play, and he's going to get opportunities. And I just feel like around like guys like Paxton and Rafa, I just think that he's going to get chances in this attack, and I think it's a natural fit. And it feels like something he probably pushed for. I don't think Seattle would have just been willingly want to get rid of depth in this time of competitions, and you know how Seattle goes every year. Jordan Morris is missing for three-fourths of every single year, so depth is a concern for them at times. So it feels weird that they do this. I just think it comes down more to probably what the player wants more than anything.
Yes and no. I think that, I mean, from a Seattle perspective, this was a guy that, he came in from Tacoma Defiance, or their second team, and really, I mean, just made his worth. Now that he's going to be sold in $2 million GAM, Colorado has an abundance of GAM. Seattle virtually has none at all. So I think that there is a little bit of, from Seattle's perspective, this is like a lot of margin here on profit and selling him. And I get the argument with the depth, but and that's where I can kind of get on the train a little bit with maybe he asked for something like that because, he's a winger. I think he favors his left, but he played on the right at times too. Jordan Morris getting back into the fold. Pedro de la Vega is still a little ways out, but like those are the preferences, right, with the wingers for Seattle, and that's a hard task to stand up behind those two and probably get the minutes that you deserve, as you kind of said, as a 23-year-old. So I can get that. But then he goes into, I mean, not a crowded area in Colorado, but, Darren Yappy is the starting left winger right now, and
He's looked
I'm
awesome.
not sure. And he's looked really good. So how they arrange that? Do they just put Manunga on the right? Do they move Darren Yappy up to maybe like a two-striker system type look? Options there, but I think that's the most intriguing part out of all of this is, if you're going to drop $2 million in GAM, you better have a place for him.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they will. It's just going to be interesting to see where it ends up.
I think what you said there, which I like what you said more than anything that they now have, which I don't know if they felt confident before, was options. Like they have the ability to move things around a little bit, have a little bit more depth than they're used to having, because the Colorado we're looking at right now is kind of like the same starting lineup every week. Like they who's going to be playing for them, who they prefer in that attack, and now you get another guy who's plays a little bit different than who's already there and can offer something different and offer options in how you want to play this team. You're now able to give someone a week off, and it felt like at times with this team you wouldn't be able to do that without bringing in another attacker at this level of Georgie. So I think we still haven't scratched the surface on what he can be. I think this is an opportunity for him to get more consistent playing time, which I think is good, and I'm excited to see how that goes for him. The next news note here we have is FC Dallas. We've been asking for help in FC Dallas's attack. We have been saying which 10 are they going to bring in? How are they going to build this around the Moose up front? And Tony, they go out and bring out a former MLS guy and a guy who didn't leave the MLS on great terms last time in Santi Moreno, who forced his way out of Portland, not even it was 8 months ago. I think we were talking about the pre-show, and refused, just didn't show up to a game, like, and just refused to play because he wanted to move. Went to Fluminense and didn't play. He just didn't play there. Didn't really get a great opportunity. Now he's coming back to the MLS, back to a team that desperately needs more attack, and I think I'm like feeling very conflicted on this move. I don't know how this directly elevates Dallas every single game. I think a natural 10 probably would have been a better fit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's played in the midfield, he's played as a winger, like he's an attacking player. I'm more just I think I'm holding my judgment until I see it on the field before anything else at this point. I don't want to say this is exactly what they need. This is going to make them a team that can go to the next level, because I don't really know if he was that even type of player at Portland when he was consistently playing, because he was never able to take them to the next level. So now partnered with Peter Musa, I think that that's going to help. I mean, you as an attacking player, that's great to have one of the best strikers in the league in front of you. You're going to be able to create chances for him and for yourself. You're going to have more avenues on your attack because people are so worried about him. So I'm interested to see how it works, how soon he'll be playing, and how it will just make them a little bit more dynamic. Because right now, I from what we used to see from him, I just don't know if that's exactly what's going to take Dallas to the next level. But I do think it's an upgrade. Like
Yeah.
it's an upgrade, and that's what they need at this point. So I don't know if he's a DP. Is he a DP?
That's what I was about to ask you. I'm not sure we know that yet, whether
I don't
that
think that's been
has,
announced because that
but
came out
yeah,
just a couple hours ago. If he's a DP, I'm going to be a little worried because I don't know if that's the type of move that's going to take him to the next level. But if he's brought in not as a DP, I think it's a great move.
right.
So we'll see. It's a loan through the end of the season with a purchase option. No clarification DP. That makes me feel like it's not. So if it's not a DP move, then I think it's a great move for Dallas. But we shall see when that reporting comes out.
So the trick with the Dallas roster situation right now is their only DP is Musa.
Mm-hmm.
They already have four U22s, so their destiny's kind of already chosen for them as far as what layout they're going to have. So they still have a DP spot
Do they
open
have any
now.
TAM spots open?
I think TAM's just money you have in the bank, and they have a few TAM players. Uh, Julio Anderson, Shaq Moore, Urgide, Valiente, Altam. Um,
We'll see.
so
We'll see.
yeah, and with this loan stuff, that gives them a lot of funny stuff can happen when you file it as a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say, like if they, I agree that if they pick the DP, like I'm worried for two sides of this because if they pick the DP route with him, then like obviously that's a DP for the rest of the year, and like is he DP quality? I would guess probably not, though. Is there potential? Maybe. Um,
Yeah, that's where the structure of the contract I think is helpful. Now that I'm reading it that way, where it's, hey, this is a loan for this season. I'm assuming after this season is probably when he would have to become a DP. That's like usually how these type of
that
things
could be,
work.
yeah,
So I mean, hey, I mean, at worst, you'll go through this year. If it doesn't work out, you move on,
right.
and that's that. So
Well, and what I was going to mention too is that if he's not a DP, that gives you flexibility in the summer window to then bring in your DP
mm-hmm.
wherever you want to go. Versus, okay, well, your hands are tied if he is your DP right now. You can't bring anybody in. So I'm hoping that. And but then okay, so then the other side of it is okay. We're gonna play a whole half a season, which is one DP. Like that's the other part that is like worrisome too. So
Hey,
it's like
there's plenty of teams doing it, man.
I know, but
San
it's just
Diego.
yeah. Shout out San Diego, but Dallas is not San Diego. They do not. Moose is awesome. He kicks butt, but he's not Dryer. Like it's just
Whoa!
it's. Yeah, I mean that's not controversial in the slightest.
Don't
But
disrespect. Don't disrespect.
Moose is loose. He's gonna hunt me down. Send me a jersey, please. Uh, yeah,
He's always begging. He's always begging.
yeah, yeah. But I think that that's a. And I mentioned this so many times going into the season that has worried me about Dallas is like this. It just felt like the urgency wasn't really there to fill out this roster. And I think Santi Moreno, like you said, is an improvement. I can't imagine this making them worse. So I think that's a good start. And then you're playing him over right now, Valiente, who has been, I'd say, bang average he's been okay. But if you can get someone who's MLS proven, then I'd take it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think generally the overall temperature on this one is okay. Like I'm trying to remain positivity on it. I think there is issues on the perimeter of all of this that you can pick holes in and say I don't like that, and I think that's probably all fair. But I think that kind of like when you said until we see it on the field, like I think I'm going to hold just a loose optimism on it. I think
Mm-hmm.
is the best way to say that.
Totally. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see what position he's playing once they get him going. So we'll see. Last news note, not really anything I think we need to spend a ton of time on. The Casemiro news is coming back up. It sounds like he's going to be coming to MLS as a free agent after this year with United. So that'll be a post World Cup type of move. Um, he's still playing for United. I compared it to Busquets in a conversation we were having. I feels like that caliber and age and everything. So can be a producing player if it all goes really well. But I think there's a lot of risk. The two names I think put out there were Miami and Galaxy was the other team name. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to spend a ton of time on it because it feels like a player who's not really gonna move the needle for a lot of teams. If I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I think yes and no. He moves butts and seats, and that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna move the needle in some ways. In terms of on-field stuff, I kind of agree. Like
It's like you just have maybe
Miami
a year.
especially, like that was a problem with Miami that they eventually figured out was, hey, like who's gonna actually be the engine room and put in all the effort? When we have all these guys on the verge of retirement, Casemiro is not gonna help bridge that gap.
And
And then you,
they had to move Busquets to center back because he quite literally couldn't keep up in
wouldn't
the midfield.
wouldn't yeah wouldn't run around. And then Rodrigo De Paul came in, and he's a little bit younger and had some of that vibe with him. But and then Galaxy, like I mean, they're already just so vulnerable in the back as is, and I'm not sure that he's helping you with the problems that you have in the Galaxy either. So a lot can change between what people need by the time it gets more serious, but it is one of those things where like that's going to be the signing where it's like James Rodriguez. Oh, okay, like it's going to be like that. I think so.
Dude, we're gonna have to do a deep dive into that in about 5 to 6 weeks after we see
Next,
what's going on
yeah,
because it might go down as one of the most nothing burger signings we've had in a
well, he
long
just
time.
hasn't played. Yeah,
He just doesn't play,
yeah,
and when he has, it's like cool. Like it just doesn't
it's
move
like
the needle as
15
much as I thought
minutes.
it would. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. So unfortunate. Okay, well let's get into the meat and potatoes here, Tony. We have got U.S. men's national team to talk about. Game coming up. First game is Saturday at 3:30 against Belgium. First time we've played Belgium since that infamous World Cup game in 2014, where Tim Howard turned into Jesus Christ himself in net and did everything he could to keep USA in that game. USA have never beat Belgium, Tony. That is a fun fact. We are 0-3 in friendlies in World Cup. I think it's been like 2-1 for twice and then a 4-2 victory for Belgium as well. So not a team we've necessarily performed well against in the past. Now it's been 12 years since we have faced Belgium, so a lot of different faces and still some same faces. Like De Bruyne scored in that game, which is hilarious to think about.
Yeah.
Um, his longevity. Some of these guys have just been around forever for some of these big nations, and then you have a USA team, and none of these guys were. I don't even know if they were graduated high school by the time that they were playing Belgium in that. Maybe Tim Ream was probably the only guy. So uh, it's an interesting game. I'm excited to see this test, these two tests, because the other game, of course, we'll get into it here in a second, is against Portugal on Tuesday. But these are legit friendlies,
Hmm.
and you are getting to play them on your home turf, which is helpful. And I think this is a real test. And there was a lot of clips going around of Pochettino in the USA camp, a lot of quotes going around of how intense this camp is right now.
Yeah.
And he acknowledged in some videos talking to the players, being like, I know you're competing against each other right now. And he's like, that's a good thing. Like there needs to be an intensity to this and a passion and a care to this. And I loved when he kept saying, "Why not us?" Like he's just trying to build that like mentality. It's like we have to go into this thinking we can be the best team in the world, and it that's half the battle. I think in some of these international games is if you're one of the smaller teams and not as talented, you can beat yourself before you get on the field if you're just intimidated by who's across the pitch. And I think he's trying to drive that into them saying, you're on your home turf, like this is your chance to defend your country, and you've got to tell yourself, why not us? So it's exciting. I'm interested to see what lineup Belgium puts out there. I mean, all of these
Hmm.
friendlies should really be like actual teams. I can't imagine there's many of these teams that aren't fielding their full teams in preparation. Like this is the last window, so it will be interesting to see. Belgium, of course, has been on a little bit of a downward trend as a national team. Let me see. I don't even know let's see what their ranking is right now. They're still number
Ninth
nine in
as
the
what I'm.
world,
Yeah.
so they're still a legit team. But performance wise, in some of these tournaments, haven't performed as well as they've hoped. And I still think they're one of, like I just said, they're one of the 10 best teams in the world. So you're getting a legit opportunity here to prove yourself. And I'm really excited. I mean, before we get into some nitty gritty here on lineups and who we prefer, any instant reactions to this game and to this window in general?
Yeah, I mean these are knockout round caliber opponents that we'll see very similar, in the World Cup. This is who you'd expect to see your round of 32 or round of 16 kind of look like. And I think that this is I mean, I think regardless of what happens in these friendlies, like I do think this is a huge litmus test, and it's going to tell us if we need to be pulling a fire alarm or if we are confident and know we're on track.
I'm so
Um,
scared.
but like this is, I think that, and maybe I'm going a little bit too high level right now, but I would think that round of 16 is kind of the expectation for the U.S. right now. So win a knockout game, and then get to the round of 16. After that, it's house money. But before that, if you fall short, if you get grouped, or if you don't win that first round of
Oh,
32 game, then I think that's a disappointment. So I don't know if you agree with me on that or not, but
I do. I'm sorry. I'm making that groan because I can see it. This like
couldn't
us getting
imagine.
grouped and
Yeah,
me being depressed for like months, and I don't want to live in that world. But yeah, I mean, like step one has got to be win your group. I think not
correct.
just get out of your group. You have to win this group, and then step two is yes, winning a knockout game. I think they need to do that. And I mean, once you win one, I mean, it feels like you get to a point where it's like
Anything can happen. Yeah.
these games just become a coin toss. Like you saw it with who was it in the last World Cup? Um, who was Hakimi plays for them? What was
Uh,
the
Turkey or
no
Morocco.
Morocco? Thank you.
Yep.
And they by the way, Morocco, congratulations on getting your champion.
Better late than never.
Yeah, your rebuttal, I guess, is what we'll
Yeah.
call it. But like teams like that, if you just get through that first round, you can make some noise. Like you can
Yeah.
catch teams off guard. It is truly 90 minutes at a time. That's all that matters, and it's going to be super exciting. But yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Anyway, so knockout round caliber opponents. This really shows us if we're like on the right track to maybe be able to like exceed our expectations, or if we're going to scrap to just get to the bare minimum of what we think we need. So I think that's the important part of this. Um, these are also dress rehearsals for Belgium and Portugal too.
Yeah,
Uh, coming to the states. I mean, like you think about how long these teams are going to be here for this tournament. I mean, it's
it's
weeks.
it's a true
And
dress rehearsal. Like they're prepping like a game day on what it would look like
yes,
at the World Cup.
right, and understanding. Maybe not getting so much of the heat and stuff, but at least understanding. Hey, this is what it's going to be like here.
Where are these
Um,
teams at? Sorry, keep
Atlanta.
going. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if they actually have games in Atlanta for the World Cup or not, but um, it I think it means a lot for them too. Is that like no offense to us, but like this is a pretty easy well, not easy, but like this is a very realistic group stage relevant game for them, or even like I said, round of 32, round of 16. Like this is like important for them as well, and I think Portugal is missing a few people. Belgium, not so much. They're a little bit carrying most of their team, but they're going to go at this. I think this is going to be the most intense you'll see a friendly, just because of kind of what you've been mentioning. Like players, opportunities are on the lines here to represent their nation on the biggest stage. So
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna lead to a lot of intensity, not just in the training camps, but just in the games alone. I mean that's ultimately where what the fans see and what the fans are going to talk, and that's where all the ad money is, and like that's what matters most. So all that to say, this is a big deal. These are some big games, and I'm really intrigued. And this can probably segue us into getting into nitty gritty, but what the strategy is as far as who we throw at what game.
Mm-hmm.
Do we throw the guys in against Belgium and then the backups against Portugal? Do you do a mix?
That's the hard
like
part. Like
right.
what I would prefer is say
Mm,
if I got my choice as a fan. I think there's two different strategies that Pochettino can go at this. I think he can say, I'm playing what I view as my best 11 to start both these games, both of them, and
hmm.
say, I want them to play together. Like that.
But it's
That
only
is what he's
3 days
done.
apart.
I know. I know. I get it. But they're not going to play full. A lot of these guys won't play the full 90. Like they'll get subbed out. So I'm not. So you can take that strategy, or you can do what we're saying, which is more likely. It's probably going to be they're going to pick one of them and say we're going to play our real guys for this one and rotate. Some guys will play both, but rotate some guys in and out. So it will be interesting because I do think we'll rotate. I would think they're going to go harder on the Saturday game. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't think they would go hard in the second game. And on top of that, what I'm also interested in this window, we did have the World Cup qualifications today. By the way, that
Yes.
happened, and our the Irish man,
You got
Ireland
to
and
feel.
Wales both lost in penalties.
And Northern Ireland also lost too. So
I mean,
just
rough
nothing.
go at it for that part of the world. I mean, for both of them to lose in penalties is tragic because I wanted both of them to move on, but
Yeah.
that is neither here or there. Uh, on top of USA playing Belgium, Portugal, you also have Mexico playing Portugal and Belgium.
Both of them. Yeah.
Both of them. So I'm interested from a North American perspective as well to watch those matchups to kind of get like a comparison. Like, hey, where do we match up against even Mexico right now? I think it's been widely broadcasted that Mexico is not in a great spot right now. There's a lot of conflicting lineups and who's getting called up, who's not getting called up. Ochoa is now going to be the freaking starter again because their
Let's
starting
go.
goalkeeper towards ACL. He's been rising from the grave. So there's so much going on in this window that is exciting and building some hype. And I really do think, Tony, if you show up, say the US shows up, and they win one and even draw one, the hype you can get in this country, in my opinion, if you perform against these type of teams, you can build some real momentum from a fan perspective to really rally. Be like, okay, this is like a team that we can actually believe in a little bit. And I think that's really important for the Saturday game, especially because I think a lot of people are going to be telling themselves, why should I care? We're not good enough to beat these teams. And if you show up in that first game where people are going to be watching and say you beat Belgium like 2-1, I think you're going to turn heads. And I think people are going to go, oh, World Cup's coming up and we actually have a good team. Like, I think that is part of this window. I hope they take it with that type of seriousness. I'm sad guys like Tyler Adams aren't in the squad because I think he's so important to the middle of our field and
Yeah.
how he commands a field defensively. He's basically an extension of the back line when he's on the field. So I think that's tough, but I think it's going to give an opportunity to some of these guys that, like you said, as we get in the nitty gritty here, we're both going to select what our preferred lineups are. And I think we both would have Tyler Adams in there, of course, if he was in this camp.
Hmm.
But I'm interested to see who you have in there for him because I
Then
think we
there's a
might
wild
conflict
card
on this
midfield
one.
slot here. Yeah.
I think we could conflict. I think that might be the one spot me and you differ on. Um, Actually, there might be two because I went a little wild card with mine too. So
Oh wow. Okay.
we'll see how it is here. So let's get into it. I'm gonna have you go first.
Okay.
You're the logical one out of us two, and the one that has level headed when it comes to this. So I'm gonna let you set the stage a little bit.
Okay.
Let me pull it up here.
Well, we can start with the back because I think that's obvious with goalkeeper, right? We're running Matt Freeze, and okay, hold on. This is preferred, or is this what we think Potch is going to throw out there?
This is what we would prefer.
Okay.
We can do that. We can do that at the end. We'll do that at the end after we put out our. Can you see the screen? I'm assuming this is all.
Yes.
All
so
okay.
You can go ahead and throw Freeze in net. Doesn't matter anyway. Get him in there. And then,
so just a reminder, the options would have been for the listeners, Matt Freeze, Matt Turner, and then the other two are Patrick Schulte and Chris Brady. Roman Celentano is not in this camp now because of injury, so
sucks for him.
I feel bad for him because I think he was number 3 on this list before that.
Now he's do you think he's going to go now? Because that seems like
I think he still could. I think it depends how he plays for club going forward. I think that's the difference between these three. I mean, Patrick Schulte, Chris Brady, and Roman, it's like, I mean, no offense to any of these guys. You're just kind of flipping a coin at that point.
Right.
But yes, Matt Freeze, we'll both have him in there, and he'll both be starting for us because that is what's just going to happen. Because Matt Turner also has not looked great as well in club play to even turn heads a little bit.
Yep.
Let's go to the back line here, though. Hit me with your central center back. Who's going to be starting? Because I think this is the layup out of all of them.
Correct. This is the easy one. You can throw in Chris Richards here. Obviously, like he's been the only consistency we've had at center back, and playing at a really high level, and at the highest level in Premier League, looking good with Crystal, all that stuff. Right. We don't need to beat that. And then my other center backs, I think that my preference here would be Mark McKenzie.
In the right center back role?
No, I'm gonna put him on the left.
This is crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh,
what's that?
Where he's supposed to be.
You wouldn't put.
I'm shocked by what you're about to do, but continue.
You okay? Oh, sorry, never mind. I'm putting Tim Ream left. I'm putting Mark McKenzie right.
Okay, that's where I was like, I thought you were not putting Tim Ream at left center back.
I totally forgot. I was like, who's my other center back? And then okay, so Tim Ream, left. And the reality is, I mean, so you're showing a 3-5-2 on the screen for those who are watching, and like
you can imagine, the central center mid is going to be the attacking center mid,
right? But kind of the way it works when we're in attack is like one of those wing backs will go up and the other one will stay back, and it'll kind of look like we're defending with 4. So on the right, I'm going to go ahead and put Alex Freeman, because I think that he'll probably be one that you trust to be one that tends to stay back, because on the left, I want to see Jedi. And I know his distribution has been, it just really hasn't gotten back up to speed yet since his injury. And I think that's more the reason why I'm preferring him to start here, is just get more reps there and specifically in this system. So that's the back line. What do you think?
I think, I mean, I don't want to spoil, but I think we're pretty similar. Okay. And I think the right wing back role right now and right center back role are the biggest question marks that are on this roster.
I agree.
From a defensive perspective, I think, in my mind, Robinson, Ream, Richards, and Freeze are locks. I don't think if they're healthy, they're starting. And I don't think there's
Robinson,
any. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think that's just what's going to happen, and people need to accept that. I know a lot of people feel some type of way about Tim Ream sometimes.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can replace his experience and his decision-making at this point versus what the other options are. I love Miles Robinson. I love Austin Trusty. I like Mark McKenzie if I want to throw him in there. They don't have the experience and decision-making that Tim Ream has. Yes, they have pace over him, but if you're running a 3 center back lineup, he's a no-brainer in my mind, of the way that he can even help out the midfield and the attack in the way that he passes the ball. Because we've seen that in World Cups before. His ability to break lines as a defender is super helpful in the way that we play. So the biggest question marks, like I said, McKenzie at right center back, Freeman at right wing back, Serginho Dest when healthy, could he play that right wing back role? Could Timothy Weah drop back in that right wing back role?
Right.
Like, how are we going to go about this as a team? And I think that's the biggest question mark because I think if Dest is healthy, there's a chance Alex Freeman plays right center back. So
I
I
agree.
think
I was going to say that.
that injury kind of changes what this lineup. This is for this window, by the way. I guess we should really
Yes.
clarify that. This is the roster for this window. How that's going to look like against Belgium if we had to pick a team. And Mark McKenzie might be replaced by Alex Freeman if Serginho Dest is healthy. Now, Mark McKenzie, if he performs really well in this window, I'm going to feel great about him playing right center back and be like, okay, that's fine. Go for it. I think Miles Robinson had a shout in the last window. I think his performance for the national team and for club hasn't been fantastic, which is kind of left the door open for somebody else. And you've got to imagine Mark McKenzie's going to be the first guy to get that chance over him. And it came out today Miles Robinson was practicing separate from the team because of possibly an injury. So I think with all that being considered, I'd be shocked if we were playing our best 11 in this friendly that this would not be the back line. I'd be shocked for this window. So
yeah, I think that, honestly, if you plug in Austin Trusty back there too, I'm kind of indifferent about that. My main concern with this setup is that, what we carried here is there's just not really like a defending left back outside of like Jedi Robinson in this. And here's what I mean by that is like I just kind of mentioned how I think, we're going to swing up Robinson on the left and we're going to keep Freeman home on the right. Well, then that has Tim Ream playing left back, and I think that just, out wide, whoever Belgium has, or Portugal for that matter, if we're going to, apply this there too, that's a one-on-one with a winger that is most certainly going to outpace him and then potentially have a trickle-down effect as far as, distribution. So I am worried about that corner of the field, but, you can't, just the way that this roster was set up, and I'm not necessarily saying that there's anyone that was a snub, but like even you could put, I guess maybe put Weah in instead of Freeman and tell Jedi to stay home and have Weah go up, but it just doesn't seem to click perfectly. So that's the tweak there. So and I've seen all the MLS hate out there too, by the way, on X. Some of those USMNT stands are just going nutso, but I guess there's not really Matt Freese is the only one here
with those type of people. I'm like, this is the roster. This is
right.
These are the people who are going to
accept it. Right.
Let's back them. Let's figure out what the best lineup is, and we'll move forward.
Got it.
Let's get to the midfield here. I think in this window, I think these are the biggest question marks. Is who's going to be playing midfield, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see who you've got here.
Okay, again, ideal. I'm not sure this is what's going to get thrown out, but ideal.
Hit me with the layup first. We all know the layup. Hit me with
Weston,
the layup first.
But I think here's the key part is where are you putting him?
Whoa! Are you
know what I
about
mean?
to do this?
No, and I'm gonna put him as one of the true CMs. I'm not gonna put him as an attacking mid, because I think I want to put Gio Reyna there. I want to see what he has, and honestly, like I'd rather fall on our face with Gio Reyna here than at the World Cup. Like this is like,
I mean, he'll get the start in one of these two. You've got to imagine. So
for sure.
He's going to get his chance at some point in this window. I have my lineup. I went very back and forth about this position specifically. So I don't blame you.
The midfield, correct.
Because right now, in my mind, this last spot that you haven't even filled out here, Tyler Adams is healthy. Tyler Adams is in there.
Oh, so a lock. Yeah.
This is more of like who's going to be filling this next role is more of like who do you prefer as the backup? Because I think it's Weston's the lock, Tyler's the lock. If he's healthy, if not, then we've got a question mark. This attacking role is really the biggest question mark in our roster right now. And I don't think it's a bad question mark. I just think it's like, who do you prefer? And it's really between Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman at this point.
Yes,
and it is both of them. I mean, Reyna for the national team has performed so well. Tillman has performed well for the national team. And Tillman's also done it for a club this year. So it will be interesting to see where Poch lies in that decision making
Right.
with the preferred lineup.
And that opens up the whole can of worms that I've mentioned before. But hey, you got to earn your spot versus
Mm-hmm.
this guy's more talented debate gets cracked wide open because like Luna was held up as an example. Rodon was held up as examples. Like, it's just like, hey, these are guys that fight for the freaking badge. Um, Reyna is just not that guy, and I don't know. I could just see that getting some bad hangover there if that's how he
Yeah.
starts. So, but I'm just talking on the field. Forget all the off the field stuff. This is just what I want to see. And then for that last center mid spot, I think that I would like to see, again, ideal here is Tanner Tessman. I
Okay.
yeah, I think well he's played really well for Lyon. He's grown into a big role there. Um, to me, it was a little bit. I kind of juggled between him and Johnny Cardoso, but I feel like I understand what I'm going to get from Cardoso. Or I feel more confident in what I think I'm going to see from him when it comes to the national team, which has been pretty underwhelming. And that's why I'm kind of looking at a fresh face here in Tanner Tessman to see if he can really offer up, what we need is kind of a destroyer, a little bit deeper lying playmaker. Let Weston do his thing. Let Gio sit up high and take care of things from there.
Okay. I agree. I like your points. I think Tanner Tessman. I think there's a three person race for that spot, and it's crazy to say that. And we've talked about it. It speaks to the depth. It's our deepest position
Yeah.
group is our midfield, and right now I think you could make an argument for any of Tanner Tessman, Johnny Cardoso, or Sebastian Berhalter for that role.
Mm.
I know you've got the MLS heads that don't want to see him in there. This dude for the U.S. men's national team has played so well
He
and is
played really
only
well for
gone
club.
and doubled down for club and
Yeah.
has shown it early this year. I think it's all three of those guys are going to get serious looks during this window. And I'm sure it's going to be a combination of probably McKennie and one of those three, and then the other two will start the other game. But I think it's a real question mark on who he picks as the second guy behind them because I think there's an argument to be made about all three for what they've done for club and country. So let's get in the forwards here. I think this is the
Yeah, this
easiest
chalk.
position group to pick from.
Yep.
I think the conversation for this position group really comes to who's backing up these two guys, but hit
Mm.
me with it. I can feel like I can drag these guys already for you.
Yeah, you can put CP on the left and you can put Flo on the right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's plain as day there. Like you said, we're talking about honestly, what's more intriguing about this is who's going to sub on for them, because I feel like that's going to indicate a lot as far as who's preferred with Poch. If it's going to be Pepe, if it's going to be Away or Ajiman or Aronson, even. I think game state probably does matter in that too. If we're winning versus if we're chasing the game, that might have a part to play in it. But I think that the starters are locks, and even if Pulisic just was absolutely terrible in these two games, like he's starting in the World Cup, like we're all confident of that. So
Totally. Well, let me get back here. I think you can't see it right now, so I'll make sure to reshare this. But this attacking group, it really just comes down to backups and
mm-hmm.
who we want to see in that role. And right now, of course, Haji Wright is not there because of injury, and you're getting an opportunity now for guys like Brendan Aronson. You got Patrick Ajiman. You've got Ricardo Pepi. All these guys that are really going to be pushing for an opportunity to play. And I honestly think the one guy I don't really know how they fit on this team right now is Tim Weah. I,
Yeah,
I just don't really see how it really works for him and I where he plays because I think he's an awkward at his striker position. He's not a midfielder, and wingback feels like the only natural role for him. So I it'll be interesting to see how he's used in this camp. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions because he hasn't featured in a ton of camps under Poch. So I don't really know how that's going to look. But okay, let me do my roster here, Tony. I'll go a little quicker because we did talk about a lot of these guys already. But
yeah.
Matt Freese, come on
Controversial.
down. We've got the same exact back line. So we've got Anthony Robinson. We've got Tim Ream. We have got Chris Richards. These guys are all out of whack right now. Um, and then Mark McKenzie, I have right now as that right center back because of the Dest injury. And then Alex Freeman playing that right wing back role, like we discussed as well. So, same back line. We're looking the same here, and I don't really have any hesitations about it for this camp specifically. Weston McKennie is also the layup. Of course, we talked about it. He's going to be starting no matter what. The way he's performed for Juventus as well this year is just arguably, I don't even know if it's arguably, it's just definite, the best U.S. men's national team performer of the year so far. In the attacking role, I went with Malik Tillman. And I spoke
That's
about
probably what Potch is going to go with. Yeah.
I just think I know people are all about Gio Reyna and the way he's performed the national team. I think Malik Tillman's performed just as well for the national team, and I don't know if that's controversial or not, but he looks awesome when he plays for us, and he looks awesome when he plays for Leverkusen, and he just continues to get better. And it's not even a gripe against Gio Reyna. I just think they're both going to get significant minutes in our roster in the World Cup. Like I think they're both whoever's starting, the other guy's going to sub in, and that's just what's going to happen, and they're both going to get real minutes. So I don't care. I like both. I really am okay with whoever they start. Left center mid role. I will be honest with you. I was split between Johnny Cardoso and Sebastian Berhalter. And I love Tanner Tessman. I think he's been great for the U.S. men's national team. I think I kind of went against the mold of what we were supposed to be doing for this because I got in my head of like, oh, who is Potch going to play? And I was like, who do I want in this lineup with these two guys? Because you have two really attacking players. Like McKennie can play the midfield role, but he's going to get on the attack. And I really would try to tell myself, like, who do I want back there? And Johnny plays CDM for Atletico Madrid. You have Tanner Tessman playing it for Lyon, and you have Sebastian Berhalter, who's playing for Vancouver. Tony, I'm gonna get flack for this. I picked Sebastian Berhalter, and
wow,
I think it can, and I really wanted to put Johnny, and I think for me it really came down to how does this guy play on the field when he's with the national team, and the way Sebastian Berhalter dies for this team when he's on the field, I feel like that's who you need in that role. Like you need someone who's just going to be all over the place. And I think he's proven that the most for the national team more than the other guys. And like I said, Tanner Tessman's looked way better for the national team than Johnny Cardoso has. I don't think Johnny's gotten a ton of opportunities, so I'm interested to see him play. I just think in my head I got a little mixed in with like what's Poch going to pick and what do I like watching. And the way Sebastian Berhalter plays on this team and factoring in the way he's performed on set pieces for this team, that has to mean something. And the way that his distribution on set pieces has led to goals for this team consistently, it kind of like pushed me towards him in this conversation where I was like, that's a weapon to have on the field. And nothing against Christian Pulisic. I'm sick of Christian Pulisic taking set pieces because he's not that good at them. And he just does it because he's our best player, and he's not great at them. And I'd rather have Sebastian Berhalter in there whipping a ball in for someone to get their head on than Christian Pulisic to hit it 10 feet over somebody's head. So in my mind, that was my argument. I would love to hear your rebuttal, but I think that's where they're gonna go, and that's where I might want to see it anyways.
I mean, the form is there, right? I'm not gonna refute that. For me, like maybe I'm looking at my preference as I want to see like how this all works together in the sense that like I'm not as familiar with what Tanner Tessman's gonna bring. I know what Berhalter is going to bring, and I think it's worthwhile to have around. But that's why I'm starting Gio Reyna. Like, I think he's one of the bubble players where we need to figure out if we're going to use him or not real quick. And so I want him starting a game and seeing what he can do. And like I said, if like those guys fall on their face, so be it. I'd prefer that now than in a few months or like 70 days. So
yeah, and
that's the take.
And I totally get the argument that I'm going to hear from people after we post this, because I know it's going to come, is you want, when you play against we're playing two top 10 teams in the world in this window. You want to go down with your best players on the field, like just flat out the most talented players you have in your system. And I've heard Tim Howard say this a lot, where it's like it's hard for him to pick against just like you want guys who have played on the biggest stage consistently and aren't going to be afraid of the moment. Sebastian Berhalter might be the only guy that doesn't play for a huge club that I don't really fear that for. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think he's mentally built to kind of like counter that. Once again, we're talking about a backup right now. Tyler Adams is starting when he's in there, and that's what's going to happen. So I think all these guys are fighting for second, third, fourth spot, and they're going to play a role in a game because we're going to need to get guys subbed on, and it's going to happen in the World Cup. And I think this camp is going to be so fun to watch, not because it's just the opponent, but we're going to be watching our inner squad competition to such a high degree,
Yes.
and guys can move the needle so much in this window. So it's a ton of fun. I'm really excited for it. I'm sure you're also very excited for it, and I think I like our lineups. I mean, we didn't differ too much besides those two positions.
No, I mean the midfield's wide open. Like you said, it's the deepest spot we have, so you're gonna
Yeah,
get that. Um, you know, I and I'm interested in a lot of players on here, and I don't think we're gonna get to see everybody play, which is the
yeah,
unfortunate spot. But there, I mean, we make the defense sound straightforward. I would still like to see Joe Segale again. I would still like to see what Miles does, even though I'm kind of worried for him. Um, Assuming that he's healthy, I would still like to see what Austin Trusty does. Like
yeah.
we
Arfston,
we don't
I
have
would
that
like
depth
to see
figured
him
out.
at wing back. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's defense. I think you can make the argument you want to see all these guys. Midfield, the two guys that are getting cut off in this conversation are Aiden Morris and Christian Roldan. I don't think anyone's going to really argue that. I feel bad saying that like to them. Christian
hmm
Roldan is the kind of veteran of the group that's just there more for like the mentality and
yeah.
the guys you
He's
just
last
want in the
man
locker
written
room.
down.
You want this type of
Yeah,
guy in the locker room when you're in the World Cup.
correct.
Aiden Morris is probably the guy that's getting cut when Tyler Adams comes back. So it just kind of is the reality of the situation. The forward group, like we talked about, Brendan Aronson has a ton of caps for the U.S. men's national team. Has kind of had to work his way back into the squad now with his performance at Leeds. Tim Weah, we don't really know where he fits into this team, and it's weird because this dude was starting the World Cup for us in this last window, and now he's kind of a question mark. And then you got the two strikers fighting for a spot, and that's Ricardo Pepi and Patrick Adjumant. That's not even counting Haji Wright, who is not
Right.
included in this camp. So there's so many guys we're going to be watching to a degree, and that's where I'm like, I say I would prefer the preferred lineup plays both games if possible. It's not going to happen because they don't want to kill guys. But I also can see the argument of like, you don't really want that because I want to watch all these guys. I want to see these guys fight and see what they uh, are capable of in this type of window. So, regardless, it's going to be a ton of fun to watch, and I can't wait to sit down at 3:30 on Saturday and just soak it all in because it's going to be great.
Sure is. I am. I mean, like this is just the first time since I guess last summer, so it feels like way longer. But like these feel like competitive matches with something on the line, and the reality is this would be something like I've kind of ran through the scenarios in my head. Like, how would I feel about this if we lost both games, like 1-2 or something like that? You know, like is the world burning down? Or
That's a real reality.
but like, does it matter that much? I don't know. So like, that's the part where I think I'm more interested in this in individual performances than I am in like how we do as a whole, because this is more of like I said, it's a final dress
You're gonna
rehearsal.
care. You're gonna care.
I mean, obviously I'm gonna care, but like, am I gonna care that Christian Pulisic scored a hat trick? If we lose 3-4, like what am I gonna care about more? I'm gonna say no. Pulisic is on fire going into the World Cup. Like
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna care about.
and that's where I talked about earlier when I said like I think if you don't win these games, you can brush it and be like, great learning experience. We got to
Yeah,
see what guys are gonna make the team. If you win though, that's where I talked about momentum thing. That's where I think you can really rally the fan base. So that's where I hope they get a result in one of these two games to really make people feel like we can compete. and that's what you need is a nation to get around your team. It's like you got to feel like they can compete. So we're close, man. I can't believe we're 2 months away,
It's
basically,
nuts.
like 2.5 months. Like that's crazy. That's not far at all. So we're close. This is the last dress rehearsal. We have the game on Saturday against Belgium. That's kind of one we talked about most. Portugal coming into it, sixth ranked team in the world, man. Like this is a team we haven't faced since 2017. We've played super well against them. We've won all 3 times we've played against them. Or no, we've won once, drawn twice. And like this is a team we've performed against. It's looked good at times. Been now 9 years, so it's been a while. And I think we actually match up pretty well. But the names on these teams we're playing are
That's
legit names in the world of
nuts.
soccer. Like
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes has quietly been one of the best players in the Premier League this year.
Hmm.
I think he leads the Prem by like 10 assists more than the guy in second place right now, and that's a ridiculous number. And he's just going to be sitting there center of the field, feeding, and Ronaldo's going to be playing up top. Like this is
Is
just like,
Ronaldo playing? I thought he was. I don't know if he came.
oh, is he not playing?
I thought there was like some
Is that
injury
still thing he can't
suspension
travel to
thing.
the U.S.?
I That opens up a whole can of worms. I don't know if you
I'm
want
not
to
good at
talk
that
about
right
on
now.
here.
I think Leao's hurt for Portugal right now, so I
He
don't think
is.
he'll
Yes,
be featuring. Um, I don't really know about Ronaldo's status if I'm being honest, so
I'm trying
we'll
to look
see.
it up. Yeah,
But
due to hamstring injury.
and I would argue that Portugal fans aren't really that mad about that. So
Yeah, right. There's a whole argument if they're better without him right now.
yeah.
So
So two very legit teams. We're excited. We will be reacting basically live on the Tuesday episode to the results. So Tony,
well,
I think I
we actually the second
oh we
game
record on
Portugal's.
Monday.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So
So
you'll get a fresh preview. Tuesday morning. So when you
I
sit
wonder if
down
we should
Tuesday
change
night,
that.
should we push it back? You think?
Should we do a Wednesday episode?
Hmm. We'll see if we get any feedback from the viewers. We'll
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. Should we do it? Because I think that could be a spicy episode. We could get some hot take. Either really, you could see us at the highest of highs of like
Yeah.
overreaction, or they'll be like, okay, it didn't mean that much. It's
Just
just
give
a
us the
regular
World
game.
Cup now. Just give us the World Cup now.
Okay, well we'll talk about that offline, but you may get a Wednesday episode. And we'll update you if that's gonna happen. Um, okay, Tony, I think that's all we have got to cover for this episode. We're excited. I think we're in. I haven't talked to you about this much. I would love to maybe live stream one of these games in early June that for the friendlies before the World Cup.
The
I think we play
send-offs?
Senegal
Yeah.
and Senegal and Germany. Maybe we can live stream those. I think that might be fun to start getting interactive with listeners. So if you hear that, let us know what you think of something like that because I think that might be fun to do.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we will see you guys on maybe either Tuesday or Wednesday. It might be a reaction episode, and we're ready to be hurt. I can speak for Tony. I'm ready to be hurt. I can say I don't care all I want. I care. I'm gonna care how this one ends, and I hope the boys come and perform. And they have recently. They're coming off a great stretch against Australia, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and I think if you can build that momentum, you can really get the fan base behind this team. So,
Yeah.
any last words, Tony, before I send this off?
No. Godspeed. Go USA. I can't wait. We'll come at you with some fresh takes here next week.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready to be hurt.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week, next Friday with a MLS preview as well. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll get back to the swing of things with the MLS after these games. So, with that being said, go USA. We will see you guys on Tuesday/Wednesday.